Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to see you. Good to see you. If you made it this far, then you're obviously serious about making some changes in your agency. And we're going to dive in this video. No more rants, I promise. We're diving into the meat and potatoes of actually getting into the solution of what it is that you're going to have to do in order to see success in this marketplace for your agency and get yourself out of the rat race of this internet lead game, this Band-Aid quick fix mentality, wasting thousands of dollars, countless hours, and churning through people because they're tired of working the terrible leads that you keep providing them. So let's just dive right in and get into the presentation here. All right. So in order to get started, we got to define our goals. We got to get the baseline. We have to understand where you are, what you have, what your goals are, and what the gap is between the two. So first, what does your current production look like? Typically what we do is we want to look at a 90-day rolling average, and we want to compare that to the previous 90 days, right? If you're brand new and you don't have 6 months worth of data, then look month over month or however it is that you can look. We got to find a trend. Then what we want to do is we want to look at the 90-day versus the previous 90 days, and then we want to compare that to the current monthly production. What is the trend? Are we moving upwards? Are we growing? Are we not growing? Let's look at the mix of that business and what's happening there. You see, a lot of agents don't understand the data. They're not looking at their data. They don't really understand their business and where they're at. And this is a problem. It's a big problem. And you see, most of you haven't had to do that because all you've done is just buy another lead. But right now, we have to become entrepreneurs. We have to become business owners. We have to really understand where everything is at. And I mean everything. There is so much data available to us with technology. There is absolutely no reason that we don't have solid data on every move we make, every move our team members make, every move our business makes, every move the money makes. We have to know it all. And I understand that it's tough to keep a handle on all that, which is why it can be important to hire a CPA to keep your books. It can be important to hire an attorney to keep your legal affairs. It can be important to hire a marketing firm to handle the marketing, to hire a sales manager. So depending on where you're at with your business, you may or may not be able to leverage income to hire some of these positions out and delegate it. It may be all on you. I don't know. That's what you decide. What is your goal? Your goal, not your company's goal. What is your goal? I get on the phone with so many agents who tell me what their company's minimum is or what their quota is or what other agents are doing. And I think we've lost sight of our goal. Why did we get in this business? Why did we start this agency? We've been in such a reactive mode. You've been in such a reactionary state, adapting to changes in technology, into compensation plans, into consumer behavior, into quotas and falling behind, and sales leaders coming down and breathing on you, that you've lost sight of what you even started this business for. Why are you here? What is the goal? What is it that you're wanting to accomplish? Big picture, not today, not tomorrow, but remember why you even built this business. Why have you put so many hours and dedicated so much of your life to this company right now? Understand that most of your life is spent on this business. If you've lost sight of why, that is critically important. And not just how many policies you want to write, or I want to win this trip, or I want that plaque. But what does that plaque mean? What is the motivation behind the numbers that you're giving? If I say, what is your goal? And your first thought is, I want to get to 40 policies a month. Okay, why? What does that mean? What does that do for you? There's got to be something that motivates you intrinsically beyond a plaque or getting a sales leader off your back. There has to be some sort of a purpose that you're even doing all of this. If you've lost sight of that, it's no wonder your team members don't give a shit about your business. They don't even know what the mission is. They don't know why we're doing this. We're just doing shit. You can't operate like that anymore. That's got to go. What is the gap between where you are and where you want to be? Whether that's income, whether that's goals, production numbers, whatever that is. What is that gap? What is your current close rate? A lot of times I ask people that and they look at the number of leads that they bought and versus the number of sales that they made. Calculated percentage. No, there's multiple metrics that need to be calculated. So your closing rate is your quote to bind ratio, the number of quotes that you do to the number of sales that you make. And if you're blind quoting, you're going to skew that data. Personally, I think that's a bad practice. I see some companies that do it. They will send a quote long before they ever talk to somebody. Unless you know you're the cheapest, bad business practice. Not only does it skew your data and make it difficult for you to refine your sales process, but you're running people out the door. If you're sending out misleading quotes, you're only giving yourself an even more difficult battle when you get on the phone knowing the actual rate's going to double. Bad practice. You got to look at what you're trying to accomplish, and are your marketing objectives and are your marketing actions, are they aligning with what you're saying you want to have happen? Are you attracting the type of client that you really want? If you send a mailer with a $300 a year home quote, knowing full well that it's going to be $1,100, your perfect client is probably not going to be very happy with a dishonest foot forward or a misleading foot forward. Then you want to find out, what is your lead to quote rate? That's your conversion rate. How many leads do you buy versus the number of quotes that you do from that particular lead source? How many mailers does it take you to get to do a quote? How many Facebook ads do you have to run to get a lead? How many leads do you have to buy to get a quote? You see, most people don't even finish their sales process. Most people have no idea what their full sales process is because they give up on the lead before they sell it. You have to, if you don't know these answers, you don't know what your current sales cycle is, how long does it take for you to close a lead from start to end, from the time they come into your door, from the time they make the first phone call, or you purchase the lead, or you send your first email, clock starts ticking, goes into a sales pipeline, clock starts ticking. Track everything that happens, every call, every email, every mailer, anything sent to that person, every attempt at a contact. How many contacts does it take to get that first appointment? After you get that, how many contacts does it take to either get a yes or a no? That's when you stop selling a lead. You either get a yes or a no. The calls, the follow-up never stops. One of two things. They buy or they say no. The sale is not over until one of those two things happens. You cannot give up, because if you give up, you don't complete the equation. It's all for naught if you don't know the numbers. You have to know, what are the numbers. You can't create a marketing plan or a sales activity daily activity plan for your salespeople if you don't know the number of times they need to be calling people. So it's not to say every time, forever and ever, you always have to call people. But if you don't know your sales cycle, you don't know that on average for our perfect customer, it takes 8 attempts to get the first appointment, and then it takes another 4 attempts to get the close. And that timeline is 21 days. If you can't definitively say that, you have to get that timeline. That way you can say, hey, we're going to cut the follow-ups at 4 calls, not just because you don't feel like calling a 5th time, but because the data supports that you don't call a 5th time. The data supports, you should know the difference between, if I have to call somebody 15 times to get a quote, the likelihood of me closing them is actually less than a person that I call 4 times and get a quote. That's why we're going to stop after 4, because the guy that finally answers out to 15 and gives in and gives us the quote, we don't want the business anyway because we don't close it. It's not the right customer. But see, you don't have the numbers, you haven't completed the equation, so you don't know what your sales cycle is, and you're just arbitrarily reacting and just doing things and just making up processes as you go, shooting from the hip. And it's no wonder that you can't make any traction. You have no baseline, you have no data. The problem is in today's marketplace, it is so competitive. You have to have the data because your competitors do. Geico has it. Liberty Mutual has it. Progressive has it. They know the data. All right, what data do you have? Prospect list, past clients, old clients, personal contacts, referral partners, social media contacts, export your LinkedIn. Like, what is your data? How many people do you have? Can you reach? That's your database. It's astonishing to me how many agents don't even know what's in their database. Not only should you know what's in your database, but you should also know the makeup. I've got 2,000 that are LinkedIn. I've got 1,500 past clients. I've got 1,500 quotes that I never sold. I've got 5,000 leads that I bought. I've got 800 terminated. I've got 900 cancels. You should know your database makeup. If you don't, you've got to organize all of that, and you have to get that down. You have to know what your database is, because marketing is not a one size fits all. You can't be marketing to that entire database with that diverse of a mix with the same messaging. You'll never be effective. And can you track everything that you're doing? If not, why? Because data is available. If you're not tracking how many times it takes to reach a prospect, what if it takes 4 times and you're currently giving up after 3? How many sales are you missing? Because you don't know the data. If it takes 5 leads to close 1 and you're only buying 4 and then saying that doesn't work, how do you know? Most of you are giving things a couple $100 or a couple weeks. You're just throwing shit, hoping something sticks, but you really don't even have any baseline from which to base whether or not it quote unquote works. You're going off of emotions. You can't run a business off of emotions. You just can't. So action items, what do you got to do? Answer everything on the previous slide. You have to get the answers. If you don't, schedule time with us. We can help you get the answers. You got to do some digging. It's going to take some time, but trust me, for long-term success, you got to have the data. What does your day look like? What does your team members' day look like? What activities are you doing, are they doing on a daily basis? Is there any structure? A lot of times it's just free flowing. It's just we go to work and we hope everybody makes some sales and that's about it. Can't be that way. If you don't know, you would be surprised if you haven't audited your time, how much time you're wasting and your team is wasting on a daily basis. For 7 days, I want to challenge you to do this. Time blocking exercise for 7 days. Block out your hours. If you work from 8 to 5, write down on a piece of paper, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, so on and so forth. And then at the end of each hour, everybody stop what they're doing, take 2 minutes, bullet point out what it was that you just did that hour. If you came in from 8 to 9, you started the coffee, booted up the computer, started the phone systems, turned on the heat, made a cup of coffee, whatever it was that you did, just bullet point that down. Do that for 7 days. Be diligent. It'll blow your mind how much time you're wasting. It'll blow your mind how much time your team is wasting. Understand and tell your team this is not about a micromanagement project. This is about an efficiency project. This is about us being able to do more with our time so that we can be more effective at our job. If we find that one of our employees tends to drift between 10 and 11 o'clock consistently, then let's give them a break at 10 o'clock because they're going to waste that time anyway. Hey, take a 15 and come back fresh, because it seems like between after 8 to 10, you've done so much service work or whatever you're doing between that time, I'm losing you for an hour. Go take 15 and come back, and now you get 45 minutes out of that person because you gave him 15. Same thing with yourself. Find out where you can improve with your efficiency. Get more out of the time that you're working. Track the marketing, everything you did last year. What did you spend? What were the results of every dollar you spent? Was it effective? If you can't track it, why are you doing it? You have to be able to track everything. We can track everything. We can track every call. We can track every email, every click, every impression, every website visit, every chat that everything is tracked as it should be. Define who your perfect customer is. Understand the demographic and the makeup, and make sure that your marketing is attracting that type of customer. Understand their behaviors, how they buy, what they want, what interests them. A lot of you guys are doing something completely different from a marketing standpoint, and a lead generation or lead buying perspective from vendors who don't even match your target audience. And then you wonder why it quote unquote didn't work. Well, you just bought leads and you had no idea how those leads are generated. Yet you have a very specific customer that you're looking for. You can tell me that your underwriters want, 35 to 64, married, homeowner, 2 cars, college educated, good job, good credit, no accidents. Yet you buy from a vendor that consistently recycles garbage. that generates their leads from either cold calling, telemarketing with no demographics behind it, or search-based marketing of people who are typing in the keywords of compare insurance rates or cheap insurance rates near me, and then you wonder why they don't fit your target demo. Understand the consumer behavior and the industry data. Listen, if you feel like your marketing isn't working, calm down. Timing is the name of the game. Too many of you are making short-sighted moves. You got short-sighted expectations, and you keep making so many short-sighted decisions that you end up having long-term financial hardships. Only 3% of people in the insurance market are interested in buying. Only 3%. You got to understand that. That's huge. What that means is that you have to be very careful about where you're trusting your marketing dollars. Very careful, because there's only so many leads in any given market on any given day. And that's just the facts. It doesn't matter how many impressions you put, how much money you put behind it. Consumers are too smart to be tricked into an insurance quote, nor do you want to trick them into an insurance quote. But we know that there's life events. Those are the main drivers of insurance purchase. Marriage, divorce, purchase of a new car, policy renewals. This is what drives shopping behaviors, not fancy marketing tactics, not cool landing pages, funnels. Timing, consistency, brand equity. And if your marketing doesn't have that, it's no wonder you're not getting the right person. You have to be able to articulate this with the marketing company that you're working with. They have to be able to be transparent and show you what they're doing. We show our clients, we show you the targeting. Listen, I'm putting this in front of your demographic only. I'm targeting those life events to make sure that we get the most out of our ads. Listen, there's no reason that you should need 150 leads a month. The only reason you would need 150 leads a month is because most of it's garbage and you're just playing a numbers game. Actual, real-time, exclusive, targeted leads, you don't have the staff to handle 150 of those. Not that are actual buyers. Unless you got a massive, massive team. 25% of customers shop every 2 to 3 years. 39% rarely or never shop. So you got to think of that 3%, there's going to be a mixture of people who shop every year, who rarely shop, and 39% of people just never shop unless something catastrophic happens. So you don't want the habitual shopper. You don't want the guy that shops every year. You also don't want to spend money marketing to the 39% of consumers who rarely or never shop, in their words, because you're going to spend so much money and that sales cycle is going to be so long before they finally opt in that it's not going to pay off. Not going to see return on investment with fresh traffic. Now, however, if you're using some sort of a marketing automation suite and it doesn't cost you anything to stay in front of them, like a drip campaign, now you can stay in front of those people, but you got to get them in the door first. So you want the person who's going to stay, who's only going to shop every 2 to 3 years. That way you're going to get them in. You've got a shot at getting them in. You got a shot at retaining them. Even worst case scenario, you're going to keep them for a couple of years. But in that time frame, you've got the time to give them a different experience and then turn them into one of the 39% that'll never leave you, which is 2 to 3% of new consumers entering the personal lines auto insurance market each year. Insurers have only one option when it comes to growing their business: take market share from competitors. This is according to J.D. Power's 2019 Insurance Industry Survey. With only 2 to 3% of new customers entering the personal lines market, you have one option, and it's to take market share from competitors. That's why our campaigns are so powerful. We're targeting your competitors. We know that's the #1 place that we're going to get them. But we also stay on the offensive with consistency in following up and staying in front of your database. I bet most of you guys have lacked in follow-up with your existing database to such a degree that if one of your competitors hired me and I could get in front of your clients, it would take one email and I could snag 5 to 10% of them. That's how loose your relationship is with your current database, because you lack follow-up and you lack consistency. What drives people to shop? Top 3 reasons: rate increases, policy renewals, purchase of a new car. Then you throw in the life. The thing about this is rate increases and policy renewals happen at the same time. So then you got the purchase of a new car. Then right behind that, you've got marriage and divorce. If your follow-up strategy depends on manual phone calls, a random mailer, your odds of reaching your target customer at the perfect time is very slim. In fact, in the absence of a stroke of good luck, you'll likely never reach the client when they're actually interested. You can't run your business on luck, guys. So let's look at the two, in my opinion, perfect demographics right now. Big opportunities. The millennial opportunity. Drive new business interactions among millennials and their peers. This is going to require you some changing, because it's a different generation. This group actively seeks out the opinions of others, which means you've got to have a strong social presence, because where they're going to look, in fact, 70% of millennials indicated they did business locally based on a recommendation from a friend on social media. Do some research on Facebook recommendations. See the power that social media has changed the game for word of mouth. How you used to talk about and casually mention referrals, that now happens when somebody says, "Who do you recommend for insurance?" and 85 people comment on it and tag their agent. Can your customers tag your page? Will they even think of you? Will they even know your name when asked that question? I used to get 4 or 5 a week just from people who tagged me in somebody else of their friends list saying, "Who do you recommend for insurance?" And they would tag me, Sean Mathis, Sean Mathis, Sean Mathis. I get 4 or 5 leads a week from that. Why? Because I had a strong presence on social media. I connected with friends, family, clients, prospects. Now listen, you might have a different philosophy of how you leverage social media and whether or not you want a prospect or a client on your personal page. That's totally up to you. For me, I believe, and I think the data shows, that there's power in connecting with your clients on social media. At a minimum, you should be sending every single one of your clients to connect on your Facebook business page, at a minimum on your business page. And you got to get reviews. You got to get them. We can help you. But this group also wants instant results. They want instant feedback, live chat, Facebook Messenger, chatbots, automate the process. If you're not there, they're out. Our new system has live chat features. You'll know every time somebody does anything. Live chat, boom, right on your mobile device. You don't miss anything. The other opportunity is the loyalists. 55% of loyal customers are aged 45 to 64. This is an emerging market also on social media. It is the fastest growing age segment on social media, on Facebook particularly. Highest conversion age demographic for insurance ads right here, the loyalists. Higher income, better credit scores, less research focus, less likely to consider providers after noticing an ad, and care more about service. The caveat is that less likely is in comparison to the millennial generation or younger, but exponentially more likely than in previous years. This is one of the highest conversion demographics that we see on our Facebook ads. So you got to look at the triggers. Renewals, followed by auto purchase. So you got to stay in front of people, because even if you get an opportunity or you find your perfect customer, they might just be poking around because a renewal is coming or because they're thinking about purchasing a car. They're not ready right now, but they're there. You got to follow up. Power of perfect timing. 221 million Americans insured, with only 2 to 3% of them actively entering the insurance market as legitimate shopper. This means only 4 to 6 million active shoppers a year. 86% of insurance agent That's 1.2 purchasing leads every year. The average agent purchases 30 to 50 leads a year, which means the demand is 40 to 60 million leads, 10 times the supply, guys. The odds are stacked against you when you go to the open market to purchase leads of active insurance shoppers. It's extremely rare that you will be the lucky recipient of a real lead from a traditional lead source. You, my friend, are almost always going to end up wasting your money on nothing more than data, and you'll be lucky to even find that being accurate in today's insurance lead market. Unless you find a legitimate marketing firm that understands not only your needs, but this industry on a deep level, you're gonna miss the mark there. This is from a Facebook survey. What prompts people to buy auto insurance? 73% of Facebook and ComScore study shows survey respondents reported insurance benefits as one of the top triggers. So this is as it accounts for Facebook users specifically. 40% responded to Facebook ads from a policy renewal, 33 for a better price, 14 because they were unhappy with the provider, and 12 wanting better coverage, 11 wanting to bundle their service. New auto purchase was the reason that they purchased for 34%. 21% of the respondents shopped for insurance because of a life change, such as a move, new driver in the household, change in job, all of which are able to be targeted. So click the link at the bottom of the screen here. We're going to go into the next video and we're going to talk action items on the next video. We're going to get an action plan put together for you to help you get moving in the right direction. See you on the other side.